Hi folks, Pat Healy here for the Laker News. We're at a meet and greet with Liberal leadership hopeful Mark Carney.
The reason why I'm here, the reason why Darryl, and the reason why there's over 160 people in this room right now is because we need to be able to have the leadership for the moment. And the reason that I am proudly endorsing and supporting Mark Carney is we need someone who has the requisite acumen, who has the experience, who has the expertise on economic and fiscal matters at a time that this country is going to need it. Because we're going to need not only someone to stand up to Donald Trump and to be there to back the Canadian economy, but we need someone who's going to have the vision to make sure that we can grow our economy and be able to support people right here at home. So that is Mark Carney, folks.
Canadians want, Canadians need, Canadians deserve, and Mark Carney will deliver for us. Let's go.
I'm here with Liberal leadership hopeful Mark Carney. You visited the Halifax area on Thursday and this morning, and then Enfield this afternoon. Why were the stops here important for you as you look to win the leadership?
Well, first off, Pat, thanks for taking the time, and for your viewers for watching this. Look, why is this important? Because this is an election. This is a time when the economy is hugely important, and the heart of the economy is in rural Canada. So coming to here in Nova Scotia, meeting with lumber companies that could be affected by the Trump tariffs, meeting with farmers who, of course, it's important that we continue to support supply management and build out from that, meeting with the fishers later on this swing. This is hugely important. Now, there's other elements to our economy. We're going to reinforce it, and I'll lead one other thing. Today in Halifax, we announced a number of big measures. The headline will be about the carbon tax, but underneath all that is making our economy much more competitive.
Speaking of that, that's my next question. Okay. In Halifax, you announced you will cancel the carbon tax and replace it with incentives that reward people for being greener. How would this work, and why would you cancel the carbon tax?
Well, what's happened with the consumer carbon tax is it's become really divisive, and people are affected by it. They do get a rebate, but it's become a political issue, and we're only going to address climate change if we're all coming together. And actually, we have to come together as a country as a whole. So look, we're getting rid of the consumer carbon tax, and that affects also small businesses. That'll go away. What we're getting is the large polluters, the large companies. They're going to pay for those incentives. So if people want to insulate their homes, drive a more fuel-efficient car, do other things like that, that'll get paid by the polluters, not by the taxpayers. And then as well, most important thing alongside this is we're going to help those companies get their emissions down so that we can jump ahead of the Americans while the Americans are sleeping.
Okay. There's a lot of hateful messages, threats being posted online directed at politicians of all stripes. Yeah. How would you, if elected as leader of the Liberal Party and then Prime Minister, deal with that type of rhetoric towards your fellow politicians and public officials?
Well, I think it's a great question. Sadly, it's a very important question. I've been on the receiving end of this when I was in the UK during Brexit, death threats, all that. And, it's important that you show your opponents, they're not your enemies, you show them respect. It's also, I think it's very important, for particularly for the country now, is to have a positive image, a positive agenda. Look, we've got challenges, but this is an amazing time for Canada. If we come together and build, we can be the strongest economy in the G7, and we can grow for all Canadians. So let's be more positive. Let's get things going. Let's come together, and, some of that will die away.
All right. While you're running to win the Liberal Party of Canada leadership, just over the horizon is a possible federal election, possibly as soon as Parliament returns in late March. How are you balancing running for the leadership with the preparation for a possible federal election?
Well, I think the first thing to say is I'm ready. I'm ready to be Prime Minister right now. We're not going to have the vote until the 9th. But what we are doing is putting it in place, and you saw it with the announcement today. That was not a press release. That's a fully articulated policy. We're building up what we're going to do, we are going to do a lot. The other thing I'd say, Pat, is we are going to do what's right for Canadians if I get into government, in my government. And so the timing of any election, the timing of any measures, partly depends on what Trump is doing. We're going to do the right things for Canadians. We're going to stand up for this country. We're going to bring it together and move forward.
And now a little bit of a fun question.
All right, good.
What do you think about Team Canada naming Sidney Crosby as captain for the Four Nations Challenge team?
I tell you what, it's absolutely the right thing to do. There's many amazing memories from Sidney Crosby, but I have to say, for my entire family, when we watched that gold medal game in Vancouver, and the guy has done so much for hockey, so much for Nova Scotia. He's such a good individual. If he had done nothing other than score that goal, we would be forever in his debt. I couldn't be a bigger fan. It's a great sign of Canada. It's the best of Canada. And we're going to win that Four Nations.
Thank you very much for taking some time.
My pleasure, Pat. Really enjoyed it.
Pat Healy for the Laker News in Enfield.